I'm standing in the hallway outside the kitchen when I hear my mother's voice. Caleb needed it more, she says calmly, like she's discussing the weather. My father responds with a low hum of agreement. I freeze, one hand on the doorframe, listening. Lena will understand, Mom continues. She's young. She'll bounce back. My chest tightens. I pull out my phone and open my banking app with shaking fingers. The screen loads slowly, each second stretching into eternity. When the numbers finally appear, my stomach drops. Zero balance. My emergency savings account. 3 years of careful deposits, overtime shifts, skipped dinners, completely empty. I refresh the screen. Still zero. Refresh again. Nothing changes. The rent is due in 4 days. I have exactly 96 hours to come up with $2,000. My hands start trembling so badly I almost drop my phone. I step back from the kitchen door before they can see me, my mind racing through impossible calculations. I lock my bedroom door and sit on the floor, back pressed against it. My phone feels heavy in my lap as I stare at that zero, willing it to be a mistake. Some banking error. Glitch. Anything but what I know it really is. But it's not a mistake. The transaction history shows a single withdrawal from yesterday. $8,400. Transfer to Caleb Morrison account. Authorization. Joint account holder. Joint account holder. The words make me feel sick. When I opened that savings account at 19, Mom insisted on being listed as a co-owner, just in case of emergencies. I was so naive. I thought she meant my emergencies. My laptop sits on my desk, the email notification glowing. Final notice. Rent due Monday. No extensions available. I'd already asked for an extension last month when my hours got cut. Mr. Phillips, my landlord, had been clear. One more late payment and I'm out. I pull my knees to my chest, trying to breathe normally. This isn't panic. This is something colder, sharper. This is the moment I realize my family just stole my entire safety net. Dinner that evening feels surreal. Caleb sits across from me, chewing his steak like everything's normal. My parents chat about the weather, about neighbors, about nothing that matters. Nobody mentions the money. Finally, Dad clears his throat. We need to talk about something, he says, glancing at Mom. She nods, setting down her fork with careful precision. We helped your brother yesterday. Mom begins, her voice gentle, practiced. He was about to lose the house. The bank was going to foreclose. We didn't have a choice. I set my own fork down slowly. You took my savings. We borrowed it, Dad corrects, though his eyes won't meet mine. Caleb's got a wife, 2 kids. You're just one person in an apartment. You can handle a little discomfort temporarily. Caleb shifts in his seat but says nothing. He won't even look at me. I scan their faces, searching for guilt, for hesitation, for anything that suggests they struggled with this decision. There's nothing. Just the calm certainty of people who've already made peace with what they did. You should have asked me, I say quietly. Mom sighs like I'm being difficult. We knew you'd say yes anyway. After dinner, I try to explain that the money wasn't extra. It was my security, my rent, my ability to survive if something went wrong. My father cuts me off mid-sentence. You're being dramatic, Lena, he says, his voice hardening. Family helps family. That's how it works. Your brother was in crisis. I'm in crisis now, I reply, keeping my voice steady. I have 4 days to pay rent or I lose my apartment. Mom waves her hand dismissively. You'll figure something out. You always do. You're resourceful. Resourceful. The word they use when they mean alone. Can you give back even part of it? Ask, hating how small my voice sounds. Dad's jaw tightens. That money's already with the bank. Caleb's mortgage is paid. We can't just undo that. Don't make this ugly, Lena. My phone buzzes on the table. A text from Mr. Phillips. Just confirming you'll have payment Monday. Need to know by end of week. I stare at the message, then at my family. They're waiting for me to say it's okay, to absolve them, to disappear back into being the easy child who never causes problems. Instead, I stand up and walk to my room without another word. I spend the next 2 hours on my laptop, checking every possible option. Payday loans. Interest rates that would bury me. Credit cards. All maxed from helping with family emergencies over the past year. Emergencies that were never paid back. Personal loan. Denied. My credit score dropped after I co-signed something for Caleb 6 months ago that he promised he'd handle. I have $300 in my checking account. My next paycheck doesn't come for 10 days. 4 days too late. I could ask friends, but I already borrowed from 2 of them last year. I paid them back, but asking again feels impossible. I have my pride, even if my family doesn't think I deserve any. I pull up my lease agreement and read through it carefully. Section 7. Termination notice. 30 days required for voluntary exit. Section 11. Non-payment results in immediate eviction proceedings and a permanent mark on my rental history. But there's another section I'd almost forgotten about. Section 4. Shared household utilities and responsibilities. I read it 3 times, my heart beating faster with each pass. Then I open my text messages and start scrolling back through the past 6 months. All the times Mom asked me to help out with the electric bill, the water bill, groceries for the house since I still eat here sometimes. I'd been covering almost $400 a month in household expenses. Money they'd promised to pay back. Money that never came back. My phone buzzes. Mom, sleep well, honey. Tomorrow's a new day. I don't respond. Saturday morning, I wake up with an odd sense of calm. Not peace, something sharper, more focused. I make coffee and sit at my tiny kitchen table, laptop open in front of me. I'm not begging. I'm not negotiating. I'm done absorbing other people's emergencies while mine get dismissed as drama. I pull up my lease agreement again and reread the notice section. 30 days. I draft an email to Mr. Phillips. Carefully worded, professional. I thank him for his patience. I explain that due to unforeseen circumstances, I need to provide my 30-day notice effective immediately. I'll vacate by the end of the month. I don't send it yet. Instead, I set it to auto-send at 12:01 a.m. Monday, right after the rent deadline officially passes. Then I start looking at new apartments, smaller places, cheaper areas. Studios I can actually afford on my salary alone, without emergency funds to cushion the gaps. I find one across town, $9.50 a month, available immediately. The landlord agrees to hold it for a week if I can put down a deposit. I drain my checking account and send him $200. Done. For the first time in 3 days, I smile. Sunday afternoon, Caleb shows up at the house with his family. His kids run through the living room while his wife Diane talks with Mom about summer plans. Caleb sits next to Dad on the couch, beer in hand, laughing about something on TV. I'm in the kitchen making iced tea when Caleb wanders in. He grabs a snack from the pantry and grins at me. Close call with the house, he says casually. Bank was ready to take everything. Lucky Mom and Dad came through. Lucky, I repeat flatly. He doesn't catch my tone. Honestly, it's not like you really needed that money right away, right? You've always been good at figuring things out. Not like I had options. I've got a family to think about. I pour the tea slowly, watching the ice cubes crack. Must be nice, I say, having people who sacrifice for you. He laughs, completely oblivious. That's what family does. Anyway, things are good now. Crisis averted. He pats my shoulder like we're teammates celebrating a win, then heads back to the living room. I stare at the empty doorway, that cold clarity settling deeper in my chest. He actually believes I should be happy for him. That my savings were just spare change lying around, waiting to solve his problems. Check my phone. 48 hours until the deadline. Mom and Dad corner me Monday morning before I leave for work. Have you figured out the rent situation? Dad asks, trying to sound supportive. Working on it, I reply, slipping on my jacket. Mom touches my arm gently. Stay positive, sweetheart. Everything works out if you keep the right attitude. Look at your brother. Things turned around for him. I nod, say nothing, and leave. At work, I can barely concentrate. My phone sits on my desk, silent but heavy with anticipation. Mr. Phillips hasn't called yet. The automatic email is scheduled to send in 14 hours. During lunch, I sit in my car and eat a sandwich I pack from home. I've already started cutting expenses. No more coffee shop runs. No more takeout. Every dollar needs to stretch now. My coworker Bailey knocks on my window. "You okay?" she asks when I roll it down. "Just tired," I say, forcing a smile. She doesn't push, but her eyes linger with concern before she walks away. Back home that evening, Mom's in the kitchen cooking. "You're quiet today," she observes. "Just thinking," I reply. She smiles warmly. "Well, don't think too hard. Stress isn't good for you. Remember, family sticks together. We'll all be fine." I nod and retreat to my room, watching the clock tick down. At 11:47 p.m., my phone rings. Mr. Phillips. I stare at the screen, my finger hovering over the answer button. He's calling to offer one last extension, I realize. One final chance if I can promise payment is coming. I almost answer. Almost tell him I need one more week, that I'm working on it, that surely my parents will see reason and give back at least some of the money. But then I remember Mom's voice. "You'll bounce back." Dad's dismissal. "Don't make this ugly." Caleb's casual indifference. "Not like you really needed it." I let the call go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, I listen to the message. Mr. Phillips sounds tired but kind. "Lena, I know you're probably scrambling. If you can give me a solid timeline, even partial payment, call me back tonight. I want to work with you. But I need to hear from you." I save the message but don't return the call. Instead, I open my email drafts and look at the notice I prepared. The one set to auto-send in 13 minutes. I add one line. "Thank you for your understanding during this difficult transition." Then I close my laptop and wait. Monday passes in a strange haze. Go to work. I smile at customers. I process orders. I eat my packed lunch in the car again. Everything feels mechanical, like I'm watching myself from somewhere far away. 3 p.m. my phone buzzes. A text from Mom. "Did you get the rent sorted?" I don't respond. Another text an hour later from Dad. "Your mother's worried. Give us an update." I leave that one on read too. When I get home, I spread documents across my bed. Bank statements showing the withdrawal. Screenshots of text messages where they asked me to cover household bills. Receipts for groceries I bought for the family. A detailed timeline of every financial request over the past year. I'm not planning revenge. I'm preparing boundaries. I add up the numbers. In 12 months, I contributed $4,800 to household expenses beyond rent and my own costs. Money they said would be paid back. Money that never was. I realized then that they didn't just take my emergency fund. They'd been taking from me piece by piece, month by month, always with promises and guilt and the unspoken expectation that I just keep giving. My phone buzzes again. "Mom, we should talk when you get home." I screenshot that message too. Tuesday morning, Mom's waiting in the kitchen when I come out for coffee. "Since you're still living here," she says carefully, "we were hoping you could help with utilities this month. Maybe groceries too. Just until things settle." I freeze mid-pour. "Still living here?" "Well, yes," Dad says, walking in. "You figured out the rent, right? So everything's back to normal." They're watching me expectantly, waiting for me to say yes like I always do. To absorb the cost. Keep the peace. "I'll think about it," I say instead. Mom's smile falters slightly. "It's not really optional, honey. We all contribute to this household." I take my coffee and head to my room without answering. Inside, I open my calendar app. Today is Tuesday. My notice was sent yesterday. By the end of the month, 28 days from now, I'll be gone. They don't know that yet. They think I stayed. They think I found a way. They think everything's back to normal. I check my new apartment's move-in date. September 28th. I've already arranged for movers, already transferred utilities, already packed 3 boxes in my closet. I take a sip of coffee and let that cold calm settle deeper. I can't sleep Tuesday night. Not from stress, from clarity. Everything makes sense now in a way it never did before. I was never the problem child. I was the solution child. The one who fixed things quietly, who absorbed costs, who sacrificed without being asked because asking would have made them uncomfortable. At 2 a.m. I sit at my desk and write an email. Not to send yet, just to have ready. To my family. I need you to understand something. When you took my savings without asking, you didn't just take money. You took my security, my planning, my ability to handle emergencies. You took 3 years of work and sacrifice and said it mattered less than Caleb's crisis. You said I'd bounce back like I'm made of rubber instead of stress and exhaustion. So I made a choice. I chose to let the deadline pass. I chose to step away from obligations I can't meet because you removed my ability to meet them. This isn't revenge. This is consequence. I hope you understand the difference. I save it to drafts. The subject line reads, "Notice. I'll send it when I'm ready. When they've felt the weight of what happens when I stop catching everything they drop." I close the laptop and finally sleep. Wednesday. Rent was due Monday. Paid nothing. My phone stays silent all morning. No calls from Mr. Phillips. No texts from my parents asking about money. Nothing. At lunch, I get a coffee from the shop near work. A small indulgence. I deserve it. My hands are steady when I pay, my mind clear. Bailey finds me at a corner table. "You seem different," she says, studying my face. "Good different or bad different?" Yes. She considers this. "Lighter different." Smile. "Yeah. I guess I am." That evening I pack another box. Books first. Things I won't need in the next 3 weeks. I pack methodically, carefully, labeling each box with its contents and destination room. Mom knocks on my door around 8. "Dinner's ready." "I already ate," I lie. "Oh, okay." She sounds uncertain. "Everything all right?" "Everything's fine," I say through the closed door. She lingers for a moment, then walks away. I tape the box shut and slide it into my closet next to the others. Thursday afternoon everything changes. I'm at work when my phone explodes with calls. First Dad. Then Mom. Then Caleb. I silence them all and focus on the customer in front of me. During my break I finally check my voicemail. Dad's voice is tight with controlled anger. "Lena, we need to talk." "Mr. Phillips called us. He says you moved out. That there are unpaid utility bills in your name connected to this address. What the hell is going on?" The second message is Mom, her voice higher, more panicked. "Lena, please call us. Mr. Phillips is saying you abandoned the lease. He's talking about legal action. Why didn't you tell us you were having trouble? We could have helped." The third is Caleb. "Seriously? You just screwed everyone over and disappeared. Call Dad back." This is insane. I delete all 3 messages. Then I open a text thread with Dad and type carefully. "Mr. Phillips should contact me directly about lease matters. I'm handling it." His response is immediate. "You're handling it. You left. Without paying. Without warning. Do you know what this does to us?" I stare at that message for a long time before responding. I gave 30 days notice per my lease agreement. I had no choice. Without emergency funds, I couldn't meet my obligations. 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Finally, "We need to talk in person. Tonight." "Okay," I reply. "I'll be home at 6. The house is silent when I arrive. Mom and Dad sit at the kitchen table, faces drawn. Caleb's there too, arms crossed, looking everywhere but at me. I set my bag down and sit across from them. "Explain," Dad says flatly. I fold my hands on the table. "You took my emergency savings. Without that money I couldn't pay rent. So I submitted my 30-day notice and found a cheaper place I can actually afford. You could have asked us for help," Mom says, her voice strained. "I did ask. You said not to make it ugly." Dad's face reddens. "That's not we meant." He stops, breathing hard. You're saying this is our fault. I'm saying I couldn't meet my obligations without my savings. So I followed my lease agreement and stepped away. Caleb leans forward. You're seriously blaming us for your problems. We helped you out plenty of times. Name one, I say quietly. He blinks. What? Name one time you helped me financially. One loan you paid back. One bill you covered. The silence stretches. Mom breaks it, her voice shaking. This is betrayal, Lena. We're your family. You don't just walk away when things get hard. I meet her eyes. You'll bounce back, I say, repeating her exact words from that first conversation. You're resourceful. Her face goes pale. Nobody speaks for a long moment. The words hang in the air between us, sharp and undeniable. Dad finally breaks the silence. That's different. Caleb was about to lose everything. And I did lose everything, I reply calmly. My savings, my security, my apartment. The difference is you chose what happened to Caleb. I'm just living with the consequences of your choice. We would have paid you back, Mom insists, but her voice wavers. When? Yes. You owe me $4,000 in household expenses from this year alone. When were you planning to pay that back? Caleb shifts uncomfortably. You never said anything about that. I shouldn't have to. I stand up, suddenly exhausted. I shouldn't have to beg my family to keep their promises or to consider my emergencies as valid as everyone else's. Where are you even going? Dad demands. I found a studio apartment. Smaller. Cheaper. Within my actual means. Pick up my bag. I move in Saturday. Mom's eyes fill with tears. We didn't think you'd actually let everything fall apart. That stops me. I turn back to face her. You didn't think I'd let your things fall apart. You thought I'd figure it out. Bramble. Sacrifice. Like always. That's not fair, Caleb says, standing up. No, I agree. It's not. I walk to my room and close the door. Friday evening, Caleb shows up alone. I'm packing my clothes when he knocks softly. Can we talk? He asks. I gesture to the chair near my desk. He sits, looking smaller somehow. I didn't realize, he starts, then stops. I mean, I knew money was tight for you, but I thought. He runs a hand through his hair. I thought you'd be okay because you always are. I fold a sweater, saying nothing. Look, I need to ask you something, he continues. His voice uncertain in a way I've never heard before. Is there any way you could help with the mortgage next month? Just temporarily. Until I figure out. No. He blinks. Lena, come on. Just this once. I said no. You're seriously going to hold a grudge over this? I set the sweater down and look at him directly. I'm going to ask you a question. If you could go back and return my savings right now, all of it, would you? He opens his mouth, closes it. His eyes slide away from mine. That's my answer. I need to finish packing, I say quietly. He stands, hovering in the doorway. I didn't mean for things to go like this. I know, I reply. You didn't think about how things would go for me at all. He leaves without another word. Saturday morning, the movers arrive at 8. I direct them to my room, watching as they load boxes and furniture into the truck. Mom stands in the hallway, tissue in hand, watching everything disappear. Dad's in the kitchen, refusing to come out. You don't have to do this, Mom says as I carry out the last box. Yeah, I reply. I do. We're sorry, she whispers. We should have asked. We should have. You should have considered that I might have my own crisis, I finish. That I might need that money for something important. That I'm not just the backup plan for everyone else's emergencies. She nods, tears streaming down her face. I'm not cutting you off, I say, softer now. But I need space. I need to know that when I rebuild my savings, nobody's going to take it from me again. We won't, she promises. You can't, I correct. Because I'm removing you from my accounts. 'Cause I'm setting boundaries. Because I'm done being the one who absorbs everything. I hand her a piece of paper, The total of what they owe me, itemized and dated. If you want to fix this, I say, start by acknowledging what you took. Not just the money. The trust. I walk out before she can respond. The new apartment is small. One room, basically bed, kitchen, desk, all visible from the front door. But it's mine. The rent is $950, utilities included. I can afford it on my salary. I don't need anyone's help. I spend Saturday unpacking, arranging my few pieces of furniture, making the space feel like home. It's quiet, peaceful. No unexpected requests for money. No guilt trips about family obligations. Sunday afternoon my phone rings. Answer. Your mother showed me the list, he says without preamble. Is this really what you think we owe you? It's what you do owe me. I have receipts. He's quiet for a long moment. We didn't realize we'd taken that much. You didn't keep track, I say. Because you assumed I wouldn't either. That's not, he stops. We want to make this right. Then pay me back. Not all at once, but start. Show me you take this seriously. And then, he asks, will things go back to normal? No, I reply honestly. But we might find something better than normal. We hang up. I don't know if they'll follow through. But for the first time I'm okay with whatever they choose. Monday morning, I wake up in my new apartment and make coffee in my tiny kitchen. Sunlight streams through the single window, warming the hardwood floor. My phone shows a notification, a bank transfer. $200 from Dad with a memo. First payment. It's not much. It's not even close to what they owe. But it's a start. I screenshot it. Not as evidence, as hope. At work, Bailey notices my mood. You're smiling again, she says. Yeah, I reply. I guess I am. What changed? Think about that. I stopped waiting for permission to protect myself. She nods like she understands. Good for you. During lunch, I open a new savings account at a different bank. Just me. No joint holders. No emergency access for anyone else. I transfer $50, all I can spare, into the account. It's not much, but it's mine. That evening I get a text from Caleb. Can we try again? Coffee this week. I type and delete 3 responses before settling on. Maybe next month. I need time. He replies with a simple, okay. It's enough for now. Over the next few weeks, word spreads through extended family. Aunt Patty calls. Uncle Neil sends a concerned email. Cousin Bree texts asking if I'm okay. I keep my responses simple. I'm fine. Just needed my own space. But the rumors circulate. Some family members heard I abandoned my parents. Others heard there was a money dispute. A few figured out the truth. Mom struggles to explain without admitting what they did. I hear through Aunt Patty that Mom tried to frame it as me being overly sensitive about borrowing between family. Aunt Patty didn't buy it. Nobody borrows $8,000 without asking, she apparently said. The truth spreads slowly like water finding cracks. I don't push it. I don't correct anyone's version. I just live my life and the story tells itself. By mid-October, most of the family knows the real situation. A few side with my parents. Family is family, they say. Most go quiet, uncomfortable with how clearly the boundaries were violated. I don't need their judgment. I just needed them to know I'm not the villain in this story. 3 months after I moved out, Caleb shows up at my apartment unannounced. I almost don't answer the buzzer, but something in his voice sounds different. He's standing in the hallway, hands in his pockets when I open the door. Can I come in? I step aside. He looks around the small space, taking in the neat efficiency of it. It's nice, he says quietly. Thanks. We sit on opposite ends of my small couch. He stares at his hands. I've been thinking, he starts, about what you said. About how I assumed you'd always just handle things. Wait. You were right, he continues, voice rough. I did assume that. I thought because you didn't have kids or a mortgage, your problems were smaller. easier to solve. He looks up at me. But they weren't smaller. They were just yours. And I treated them like they didn't matter. I feel something tight in my chest loosen slightly. I can't give back the $8,000 right now, he admits. But I can start. $50 a month. More when I can. That'll take years, I point out. I know. He meets my eyes. Is there any way to fix this? Not erase it. Just move forward. I think about his question for a long time before answering. Here's what I need, I finally say. Real payments. Not promises. $50 a month works if you stick to it. No excuses, no. Just this once, skipping a month. He nods. Second, no more assumptions. If you need help, ask. Don't expect. And respect when I say no. Okay. Third, accountability. You tell Diane what happened. You tell your kids when they're old enough to understand. You don't get to rewrite this story to make yourself comfortable. He flinches but nods again. Fair. And finally, I continue. You understand that this doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. We're rebuilding from here. Takes time. Probably years. I understand, he says quietly. I'll do whatever it takes. I study his face, looking for the old defensiveness, the casual entitlement. It's not there. Or maybe it is buried deep, but he's trying. Okay, I say. We can try. He exhales like he's been holding his breath. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, I replied. Thank me in 5 years when you've kept every promise. He almost smiles. Deal. 6 months after moving out, I met my parents for coffee. Neutral territory. A cafe downtown far from the house. They look older somehow. Tired. Dad's hair is more gray. Mom's hands shake slightly as she stirs her coffee. We've been making payments, Dad says. Every week. 200. I nod. My bank statements confirm this. They've paid back $4,800 so far. Half of what they owe. We're sorry, Mom adds. Really sorry. Not just for taking the money. For not seeing you as someone with real needs. Real emergencies. We always saw you as the capable one, Dad continues. The one who didn't need help. We were wrong. I sip my coffee, letting their words settle. They're trying. It shows in the weekly payments, in the careful way they text before calling, in how they ask about my life now without expecting me to share everything. You raised me to be capable, I say slowly. But capable doesn't mean indestructible. And independence doesn't mean I should have to face everything alone. Mom's eyes fill with tears. We know that now. I hope so, I reply. Because I need you to really understand. What you did almost destroyed me. Not just financially. Emotionally. It made me question if I mattered to my own family. You matter, Dad says firmly. We were selfish and scared and we handled it wrong. We didn't know you were capable of this, Mom adds softly. I set my cup down. Capable of what? Setting boundaries. Capable of surviving without us, she clarifies. Of being completely okay on your own. I realized then what really scared them. Not my anger but my independence. They didn't expect me to thrive. They expected me to crumble and come back desperate. Instead I rebuilt. Today, almost a year later, I'm sitting in my apartment with my laptop open. My savings account shows $3,200. It's not the $8,400 I lost. But it's growing. Slowly, intentionally, without anyone else's access. Caleb sends his monthly payment. He hasn't missed one. My parents paid off their debt last month with a final transfer of $3,200 and a card that simply said, "We're sorry. We love you. I'm not wealthy. I'm not comfortable. But I'm secure in a way that has nothing to do with money." My phone buzzes. Aunt Patty. Family dinner next month. Your parents want you there. No pressure. Think about it. A year ago I would have said yes automatically. 6 months ago I would have said no out of principle. Today I reply maybe. Let me check my schedule. It's not forgiveness. It's not reconciliation. It's something more nuanced. A careful reconstruction of relationships that were broken by assumption and neglect. I close my laptop and look around my small apartment. It's quiet, peaceful. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's not even revenge at all. Sometimes it's just letting the deadline pass and discovering that you were strong enough to survive what came after. Sometimes the greatest victory is realizing you never needed their permission to save yourself. You just needed your own.